Welcome to V-Real. Don't forget, we are doing that giveaway for the poster collection from Scarlet and Violet 151. That is going to be a really fun one to give away when we get to that time. 4,000 subscribers is the goal, and today is our Trending Tuesday to see what is trending upward in direction. And we have some sealed and some singles. I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper into some single cards that have been working their way back up in price, either back up or in the new direction of up. Because we don't see that often. It usually takes a little bit longer, and I wanted to see what kind of modern, if there's anything I can pick out of the whole plethora of chaos out there of what's available. There's so many options, so many things to choose from, and it's really hard to figure out what it is you'd like and how you want to go. This is why I have a pretty dedicated plan on the sealed stuff I collect. I do very little opening to kind of get the enjoyment out of it, and then I select the handful of singles that I pursue along the way. So I'm trying to be much more strict about how I go about with my own collection, and now that I'm starting to kind of introduce and entertain the idea of going with some PSA graded cards, it's going to get even tighter on my selections and how I'm going to go forward with this, and maybe even start venturing into selling some things so that way I can acquire the stuff that I'm a little bit more interested in, the stuff I'd like to really seek out. With all of that, we are looking at stuff that's going up. All right, just like the subscribers going up to 4,000, all you got to do is like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to go over to this video here. That's where you want to leave an additional comment, and that's where you're going to be entered to win that poster collection and other prizes. I just haven't selected what those other prizes are, but I am going to do a few other prizes. Again, we'll get there. And this is way too long just to get into the beginning of this video. Let's dive in. We have Twilight Masquerade Booster Box. This is not a surprise. This is not new that it's been trending in an upward direction, but it's actually moving a little bit faster pace now, as we see just recently kind of this little bump up here, and maybe it's leveling out, maybe it's finding its place, but this is kind of a new high for it, and I don't think that we're going to see it coming down anytime soon. This is a really highly sought after set because of that Greninja, because of a few others. It's kind of got a nice little value to it on the higher end pulls, but it's not crazy where there's 5-10 cards over $100. Evolving Skies is like the crazy kind of stuff where you have many multiple cards over the $100, $200, $300 range, where we haven't really seen that in the Scarlet and Violet era yet, although time will tell. And it's interesting to see some cards that are already tipping into those multi-$100 directions that we're going to go over today. So keep an eye on that one. If you find a good price to pick it up, anything under that MSRP is going to be considered reasonable, and MSRP at this point is like 163 something, so it would be considered to be reasonable. And after that sells out on Pokemon Center, after we see these things surpass the MSRP, then we're going to start seeing some real growth, because it means the stock is drying up. However, it's so new that a reprint is not out of the question, so I wouldn't go too crazy too quick, especially when you're going with some of the singles. Okay, we've seen Eevee go up and then it kind of came down, but it's actually starting to come its way back up again here into its near high for the past 6 months or so. But it's really close. It's close to its highest point. It really is trending in an upward direction recently, and I don't expect that to slow down. For an illustration rare, it's not uncommon for it to get to these kind of price points. So keep an eye on that. If it's something you're interested in, I would love to pull one. I would love to acquire one. I don't really feel like spending $60 on it though. So if I don't get it, it's one of those things I'm willing to pass on over the price there. Temporal Forces Booster Box. Not a lot of love for this set, although recently some really spikes going in the upward direction. We've been floating around that like 105, 110 range for quite some time here. 105 was almost standard, and now it's just jumped up to this 117, 115 area, where we're going to be seeing it. This one was shipping, and we're getting even higher there. So, and that's our lowest point. So, I mean, we're in like a 120 box now here, folks. So this is going to be seeing a little bit of growth maybe, and we can even see in Raging Bolt the pull of the set, that while it was high for a while and kind of trending down in the slow recovery as the second wave behind those alt arts from Sword and Shield, now we're seeing some real growth coming out of it. And in the past like month or so, it's kind of a steady growth. It's not a wild spike up or down. So it might be in the place where it lives for a while and going to have this little bit of stair-stepping growth, little ups and downs as we just climb in value. I was lucky enough to pull this card, and it really is quite beautiful in person, which is something that I need to remember, and also maybe pull out as a reminder when I'm doing like my art reviews on Wednesdays, or I'm looking at new sets like Surging Sparks and going, yeah, it's kind of underwhelming. Well, in person it really does hit differently, so got to keep that in mind. The Bubble U from Paldean Fates, Pokemon's latest shiny set here. Pretty steady growth going up, little ups and downs kind of in this plateau area where we might be evening out, but it really is still trending up. I could see this hitting to that 100 in no time really, and it's getting pretty darn close at 95. So keep an eye on that one if you're looking for it. I don't think it's really going to be going down anytime soon. When we get into the set of tins, we know it's the Charizard carrying it. If you're out there in the wild, you're going to see these other two pretty frequently. If you're looking for them, you'll be able to find them. But that Charizard tin just disappears the second it hits the shelves because people know what it's worth. And as the set of three, this one being, I think, almost like $40 or something on its own, maybe it's more now, it's really pulling up the whole set into that $99 range there. That's pretty much our lowest. Okay, pretty wild stuff to get that set at 100 when normally it should be about 75 for the set at MSRP. Paldean Fates, it was interesting to see how people were really not interested with the Mimikyu as the Pokemon Center stamped card, and here we have the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, which would feature that stamped card, starting to climb up. Yeah, when things release on these, they get these early sales that kind of keep it up nice and high. But if we're just looking at recently, it kind of took a dip down, and now it's doing this pretty steady recovery up into that almost $75 range. What is that, 80 there? Yeah, $82 there on our lowest. Pretty insane. I don't understand how the market price is not reflecting reality on what's going on with those lowest listings, but maybe it's got some catch up to do. Interesting to see from Paradox Rift that Groudon has overtaken that top spot and now become the number one. This one's been a little bit wild for really good, really expensive. Let me bring it back a little bit. Yeah, kind of hit this bubble back in end of May into June, and then it started recovering, but it's kind of stayed stable, and now we're seeing this climb in price. As far as listings are going, it's going up quite a bit here. Even some of those alternate language ones are going higher than usual. You were finding these for about $5 for the Japanese version. Now they're coming up to $9. So interesting here. And again, another language is a good way to go if you're going to end up trying to get just the artwork and you're not so concerned with where it originates from. And in my opinion, Japanese typically has a better quality to it more often than not. So Paradox Rift on the illustration rare, not just the Groudon, but the Steelix has made some headway here. And overall in the past 3 months, it's got a slight decline from its first beginnings there, but we do see it is trending up in this past few weeks here, kind of getting a little bit more praise there. And I think overall it took a pretty big spike. I mean, just everything did. There's so many sales happened. It drove that market up, and then in the recovery. But now we're kind of after that recovery zone where the growth can start to happen again, and we see that coming in there. 151, this is the last set we're going to be looking at, but it actually has a lot of them I'd want to look at because I find it extremely interesting how this set is playing out, what we are expecting, what we are hoping for as far as reprints go. Now, when we talk about Twilight Masquerade, we should expect a reprint at some point, so maybe that booster box price being up there at the $150 range seems a little inflated right now. However, supply, demand, all of that, it's going to meet the demand with that price. People are willing to pay it. It's going to keep selling for that. And while it's still available on Pokemon Center, $150 is technically less, so people are going to go for it. But to see 151 where we really should see a reprint, maybe not on the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, but other products and especially cards coming out and their availability, that they're going to be coming through, not because people just want to buy it up to sealed, have sealed product. I think there's still a hunger to open this set a lot more if the opportunity presents itself. But we're already at $220 on this thing. $220 on an ETB is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Multiple hundreds of dollars for an ETB. So for a specific one like this, the Pokemon Center versions, they have a little added layer. Evolving Skies Pokemon Center versions, it's not like they have a special promo in there or anything like that. It's just a different design, a couple extra packs, and that has an inflated price, but we know what that set offers. So here on 151, I think we understand what this set has to offer and the nostalgia that it pulls in, how many people it's brought back into the hobby, how many more it's probably going to bring into the hobby if they see it upon a reprint, unaware if it's new or not. It's new to them, and I think that's going to bring even more people back into the hobby once they see that opportunity. So $220 on one ETB, that is pretty wild. We're going to look at that booster bundle. While it had a high point just about 2 months ago here at $47, we're getting close to that again here, this $47, $48 range coming up. And it's, again, we need that reprint. We need that reprint. If Pokemon isn't looking at this and saying, hey, that's kind of ridiculous that this is near double the MSRP price. It would benefit them to make the print run, make it happen. They can cash in on it instead of the secondary market passing it around at $48 a box here. So wild stuff. Zapdos EX. This one fell so low I was kind of worried it would never recover. Only because in the bit of opening I did, maybe 80 packs or so, this was one that I was lucky to pull, and I pulled it twice. But that second one, you're kind of thinking, man, it would have been nice to get a Charizard, a Blastoise, a Venusaur, other special illustration rare would have been nice. But now that some time's gone by, now that we see all this product getting more expensive on 151, the price is growing. So you got to hold on for the long term unless you're willing to sell it and reallocate those funds into your investments, or however you want to move it around, manipulate it yourself. But $43 there looks like the lowest listing on here. I don't know why we're seeing it at 65. That seems a little bit high. The market is saying about 45. So it's in the upward direction. That's all I know here, because it would take a little bit more understanding of why this is in the $40 range, $45 range, and then we're competing with listings that are saying 65. A little too much there. $40 on the Charmander. Pretty steady growth for the past 3 months, just coming all the way up in price here. Charmander following that evolution line of Charizard, so of course this one's going to do well. Squirtle is not far behind it, and then as expected you would see Bulbasaur coming up behind that. So when we look through this here, we have the Charizard EX just for a full art. Amazing how well this one is doing. The playability factor might be a piece of it, but I think the Charizard tax is really at play here, which we would expect over time here. And with this little low dip to 35, coming back up quick into 38, 14% over the past 3 months. What do we have in the past 6 months? It's just been a pretty steady growth here. We were back up at almost $40. Wow, $40 in February, and now we're coming back around to get to that point here. So like anything, there's highs, there's lows. Yeah, it'd be nice to be the one who bought it when it was 30, knowing that it was once 40. So maybe this will come down. I would expect it to if we get a reprint. However, if we don't see that coming, this is the time, and this is what you would see where things just start steadily growing. So I would expect a reprint. I wouldn't be jumping on these at this point in time, because that reprint is really going to resaturate the market, resaturate the availability of these cards, and especially right when it comes, people are going to be wanting to sell it as fast as possible to capitalize on the bigger dollars right now. Venusaur EX, Scarlet and Violet 151, great set, beautiful art, and a good card. This one really took off and kind of surprised me that it's hitting into that $50 range here. Yeah, right about 50. So it was not quite in 40, 42 for a while there, and then it took a little bit, but now it's really climbed just past month to bump it up into that $50 range, almost competing with the Blastoise EX, same set, 151, but here we are at 54. So those are pretty closely matched. Blastoise is definitely sitting in the number 2 slot, and this one kind of blew me away here, over $200, and I thought, okay, maybe it's one of those crazy prices where it was 60 up here and down below you see it's 40. 213 and $5 shipping, 218.20, 218.19 actually, and we see the lowest listing is right there. So we're going to see some pretty steep prices for this right now. It's really has an aggressive lift up here in the past just few days, really. So something's going on here that everybody's going crazy for Charizard. It's not just the Charizard tax. It is 151. It's the availability. It's the nostalgia. It's everybody wanting it now, and patience is running out. I think it's really a new level of FOMO because, and I can kind of give a little bit of evidence to this. I can't say fully prove it, but a little bit of evidence is the poster collection. These popped online as available, Walmart, pretty widespread, all right, for the $16 mark. They're listed here at 26, 25, 26, and we were up at $28 not too long ago, but this one has been coming down and only been just kind of moving around a little bit in that $25 range, all right? People were able to grab these, didn't take a lot to get there. And we got all these in like ancillary versions of it where it's the poster and the promos, whatever. Just want to know what we got as far as like a sealed. Do we have something coming up close here? Okay, let's see if we got page 2 here. Okay, so the first available sealed here is going to be that $25 range here. That's what's kind of putting us at the market price right now. the fact that this was sitting on the shelves and available on Walmart.com for $16 kind of makes this price look a little bit foolish. And I don't think it was a reprint, but I think it was a big restock of the poster collection, which you could have one of because I'm giving it away here on the channel. That restock kind of shows us that the market will balance out a little bit. If they have these things hit the shelves, the prices are going to come down. They're going to stabilize and be more realistic to the products, to the cards, and then everybody kind of gets their fill on the set. Then we can kind of watch a slow growth that makes sense over time. So that's that. That is that for today with the trends going up. The Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 151 poster collection going out to one lucky winner. All you have to do is like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell because I post 7 days a week. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.